story of Joseph. Genesis chapter 37 to 50. Joseph and his brothers. Joseph was a young man of 17 who took care of the sheep and goats with his brothers, the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, his father's concubines. Joseph reported his brother bad doing to their father about what they were doing. Jacob loved Joseph more than all his other sons because he has been born to him when he was old. He made a coat of many colors for him. When his brothers saw that their father loved Joseph more than he loved them, they hated their brother so much that they would not speak to him in a friendly manner. One time, Joseph had a dream, and when he told his brothers about it, they hated him even more. He told them about the dream he had.
They were all in the field tying up sheaves of wheat when my sheaf got up and stood up straight. Yours formed a circle around mine and bowed down to it. Do you think you are going to be a king and rule over us?
This made them hate him even more because of his dreams and what it reveals. Another time, Joseph had another dream and told his brothers, "I had another dream in which I saw the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowing down to me." He also told the dream to his father, and his father scolded him.
"What kind of a dream is that? Do you think that your mother, your brothers, and I are going to come and bow down to you?"
Joseph's brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept thinking about Joseph's dreams. One day when Joseph's brothers went to Shechem to take care of their father's flock, Jacob said to Joseph,
"I want you to go to Shechem, where your brothers are taking care of the flock. Go and see if your brothers are safe, and if the flock is all right, then come back and tell me."
So his father sent him on his way from Hebron Valley. Joseph arrived at Shechem and was wandering around in the country when a man saw him and asked him, "What are you looking for?"
I am looking for my brothers, who are taking care of their flock. Can you tell me where they are? They have already left. I heard them say that they were going to Dothan.
So Joseph went after his brothers and found them at Dothan. They saw him in the distance, and before he reached them, they plotted against him and decided to kill him. They said to one another,
Here comes that dreamer. Come on now, let's kill him, and throw his body into one of the dry wells. We can say that a wild animal killed him. Then we will see what becomes of his dreams.
Reuben heard them and tried to save Joseph.
"Let's not kill him. Just throw him into this well in the wilderness, but don't hurt him."
He said this, planning to save him from them and send him back to his father. When Joseph came up to his brothers, they ripped off his long robe with full sleeves. Then they took him and threw him into the well, which was dry. While they were eating, they suddenly saw a group of Ishmaelites traveling from Gilead to Egypt. Their camels were loaded with spices and resins.
"What will we gain by killing our brother and covering up the murder? Let's sell him to these Ishmaelites. Then we won't have to hurt him. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood."
His brothers agreed, and when some Midianite traders came by, the brothers pulled Joseph out of the well and sold him for 20 pieces of silver to the Ishmaelites, who took him to Egypt. When Reuben came back to the well and found that Joseph was not there, he tore his clothes in sorrow.
"The boy is not there. What am I going to do?"
Then they killed a goat and dipped Joseph's robe in its blood. They took the robe to their father.
"We found this. Does it belong to your son?"
He recognized it.
"Yes, it is his. Some wild animal has killed him. My son Joseph has been torn to pieces."
Jacob tore his clothes in sorrow and put on a sackcloth. He mourned for his son for a long time. All his sons and daughters came to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted and said,
"I will go down to the world of the dead, still mourning for my son."
So he continued to mourn for his son Joseph. Meanwhile, in Egypt, the Midianites had sold Joseph to Potiphar, one of the king's officers, who was the captain of the palace guard. The Lord was with Joseph and made him successful. He lived in the house of his Egyptian master, who saw that the Lord was with Joseph and had made him successful in everything he did. Potiphar was pleased with him and made him his personal servant, so he put him in charge of his house and everything he owned. From then on, because of Joseph, the Lord blessed the household of the Egyptian and everything that he had in his house and in his fields. Potiphar turned over everything he had to the care of Joseph and did not concern himself with anything except the food he ate. Joseph was well-built and good-looking, and after a while his master's wife began to desire Joseph and asked him to be with her. He refused and said to her,
"Look, my master does not have to concern himself with anything in the house, because I am here. He has put me in charge of everything he has. I have as much authority in this house as he has, and he has not kept back anything from me except you. How then could I do such an immoral thing and sin against God?"
Although she asked Joseph day after day, he would not be with her. But one day when Joseph went into the house to do his work, none of the house servants was there. She caught him by his robe.
"Come and be with me."
But he escaped and ran outside, leaving his robe in her hand. When she saw that he had left his robe and had run out of the house, she called her house servants and said,
"Look at this! This Hebrew that my husband brought to the house is insulting us. He came to be with me, but I screamed as loud as I could. When he heard me scream, he ran outside, leaving his robe beside me."
She kept his robe with her until Joseph's master came home. Then she told him the same story.
"That Hebrew slave that you brought here came into my room and insulted me. But when I screamed, he ran outside, leaving his robe beside me."
Joseph's master was furious and had Joseph arrested and put in the prison where the king's prisoners were kept, and there he stayed. But the Lord was with Joseph and blessed him, so that the jailer was pleased with him. He put Joseph in charge of all the other prisoners and made him responsible for everything that was done in the prison. The jailer did not have to look after anything for which Joseph was responsible, because the Lord was with Joseph and made him succeed in everything he did. Later on, the king of Egypt's wine steward and his chief baker offended the king. He was angry with both officials, and he put them in prison in the house of the captain of the guard, in the same place where Joseph was being kept. They spent a long time in prison, and the captain assigned Joseph as their servant. One night in prison, the wine steward and the chief baker both had a dream, and the dreams had different meanings. When Joseph came to them in the morning, he saw that they were upset.
"Why do you look so worried today? Each of us had a dream, and there is no one here to explain what the dreams mean. It is God who gives the ability to interpret dreams. Tell me your dreams."
So the wine steward explained this first and said,
"In my dream, there was a grapevine in front of me with 3 branches on it. As soon as the leaves came out, the blossoms appeared, and the grapes ripened. I was holding the king's cup, so I took the grapes and squeezed them into the cup and gave it to him. This is what it means. The 3 branches are 3 days. In 3 days, the king will release you, pardon you, and restore you to your position. You will give him his cup as you did before when you were his wine steward. But please remember me when everything is going well for you, and please be kind enough to mention me to the king and help me get out of this prison. After all, I was kidnapped from the land of the Hebrews, and even here in Egypt, I didn't do anything to deserve being put in prison."
When the chief baker saw that the interpretation of the wine steward's dream was favorable,
"I had a dream too. I was carrying 3 bread baskets on my head. In the top basket, there were all kinds of baked goods for the king, and the birds were eating them. This is what it means. The 3 baskets are 3 days. In 3 days, the king will release you and have your head cut off. Then he will hang your body on a pole, and the birds will eat your flesh."
On his birthday 3 days later, the king gave a banquet for all his officials. He released his wine steward and his chief baker and brought them before his officials. He restored the wine steward to his former position, but he executed the chief baker. It all happened just as Joseph had said. But the wine steward never gave Joseph another thought. He forgot all about him. After 2 years had passed, the king of Egypt dreamt that he was standing by the Nile River when 7 cows, fat and sleek, came up out of the river and began to feed on the grass. Then 7 other cows came up. They were thin and bony. They came and stood by the other cows on the riverbank, and the thin cows ate up the fat cows. Then the king woke up. He fell asleep again and had another dream. 7 heads of grain, full and ripe, were growing on one stalk. Then 7 other heads of grain sprouted, thin and scorched by the desert wind, and the thin heads of grain swallowed the full ones. The king woke up and realized that he had been dreaming. In the morning he was worried, so he sent for all the magicians and wise men of Egypt. He told them his dreams, but no one could explain them to him. Then the wine steward said to the king,
I must confess today that I have done wrong. You were angry with the chief baker and me, and you put us in prison in the house of the captain of the guard. One night each of us had a dream, and the dreams had different meanings. A young Hebrew was there with us, a slave of the captain of the guard. We told him our dreams, and he interpreted them for us. Things turned out just as he said. You restored me to my position, but you executed the baker.
The king sent for Joseph, and he was immediately brought from the prison. After he had shaved and changed his clothes, he came into the king's presence.
I have had a dream, and no one can explain it. I have been told that you can interpret dreams.
I cannot, your majesty, but God will give a favorable interpretation. The 2 dreams mean the same thing. God has told you what he is going to do. The 7 fat cows are 7 years, and the 7 full heads of grain are also 7 years. They have the same meaning. The 7 thin cows which came up later, and the 7 thin heads of grain scorched by the desert wind, are 7 years of famine. It is just as I told you, God has shown you what he is going to do. There will be 7 years of great plenty in all the land of Egypt. After that, there will be 7 years of famine, and all the good years will be forgotten, because the famine will ruin the country. The time of plenty will be entirely forgotten, because the famine which follows will be so terrible. The repetition of your dream means that the matter is fixed by God and that he will make it happen in the near future. Now you should choose some man with wisdom and insight and put him in charge of the country. You must also appoint other officials and take 1/5 of the crops during the 7 years of plenty. Order them to collect all the food during the good years that are coming, and give them authority to store up grain in the cities and guard it. The food will be a reserve supply for the country during the 7 years of famine, which are going to come on Egypt. In this way, the people will not starve.
The king and his officials approved this plan.
We will never find a better man than Joseph, a man who has God's Spirit in him. God has shown you all this, so it is obvious that you have greater wisdom and insight than anyone else. I will put you in charge of my country, and all my people will obey your orders. Your authority will be second only to mine. I now appoint you governor over all Egypt.
The king removed from his finger the ring engraved with the royal seal and put it on Joseph's finger. He put a fine linen robe on him and placed a gold chain around his neck. He gave him the 2nd royal chariot to ride in, and his guard of honor went ahead of him and cried out, "Make way, make way." And so Joseph was appointed governor over all Egypt.
I am the king, and no one in all Egypt shall so much as lift a hand or a foot without your permission.
He gave Joseph the Egyptian name, Zaphanath-Paneah, and he gave him a wife, Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, a priest in the city of Heliopolis. Joseph was 30 years old when he began to serve the king of Egypt. He left the king's court and traveled all over the land. During the 7 years of plenty, the land produces abundant crops, all of which Joseph collected and stored in the cities. In each city, he stored the food from the fields around it. There was so much grain that Joseph stopped measuring it. It was like the sand of the sea. Before the years of famine came, Joseph had 2 sons by Asenath.
God has made me forget all my sufferings and all my father's family.
So he named his first son Manasseh. He also said,
God has given me children in the land of my trouble.
So he named his second son Ephraim. The 7 years of plenty that the land of Egypt had enjoyed came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began, just as Joseph had said. There was famine in every other country, but there was food throughout Egypt. When the Egyptians began to be hungry, they cried out to the king for food. So he ordered them to go to Joseph and do what he told them. The famine grew worse and spread over the whole country, so Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold grain to the Egyptians. People came to Egypt from all over the world to buy grain from Joseph because the famine was severe everywhere. When Jacob learned that there was grain in Egypt,
I hear that there is grain in Egypt. Go there and buy some to keep us from starving to death.
so Joseph's brothers went to buy grain in Egypt. But Jacob did not send Joseph's blood brother Benjamin with them, because he was afraid that something might happen to him. The sons of Jacob came with others to buy grain, because there was famine in the land of Canaan. Joseph, as governor of the land of Egypt, was selling grain to people from all over the world. So Joseph's brothers came and bowed down before him with their faces to the ground. When Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them, but he acted as if he did not know them. He asked them harshly,
"Where do you come from?" "We have come from Canaan to buy food."
Although Joseph recognized his brothers, they did not recognize him. He remembered the dreams he had dreamed about them and said,
"You are spies. You have come to find out where our country is weak." "No, sir. We have come as your slaves to buy food. We are all brothers. We are not spies, sir. We are honest men." "No! You have come to find out where our country is weak." "We were 12 brothers in all, sir, sons of the same man in the land of Canaan. One brother is dead, and the youngest is now with our father." "It is just as I said. You are spies. This is how you will be tested. I swear by the name of the king that you will never leave unless your youngest brother comes here. One of you must go and get him. The rest of you will be kept under guard until the truth of what you say can be tested. Otherwise, as sure as the king lives, you are spies."
With that, he put them in prison for 3 days. On the 3rd day, Joseph said to them,
"I am a God-fearing man, and I will spare your lives on one condition. To prove that you are honest, one of you will stay in the prison where you have been kept. The rest of you may go and take back to your starving families the grain that you have bought. Then you must bring your youngest brother to me. This will prove that you have been telling the truth, and I will not put you to death."
They agreed to this and said to one another,
"Yes, now we are suffering the consequences of what we did to our brother. We saw the great trouble he was in when he begged for help, but we would not listen. That is why we are in this trouble now."
I told you not to harm the boy, but you wouldn't listen. And now we are being paid back for his death.
Joseph understood what they said, but they did not know, because they had been speaking to him through an interpreter. Joseph left them and began to cry. When he was able to speak again, he came back, picked out Simeon, and had him tied up in front of them. Joseph gave orders to fill his brothers' packs with grain, to put each man's money back in his sack, and to give them food for the trip. This was done. The brothers loaded their donkeys with the grain they had bought, and then they left. At the place where they spent the night, one of them opened his sack to feed his donkey and found his money at the top of the sack.
"My money has been returned to me,"
He called to his brothers.
"Here it is in my sack."
Their hearts sank, and in fear they asked one another.
"What has God done to us?"
When they came to their father Jacob in Canaan, they told him all that had happened to them.
"The governor of Egypt spoke harshly to us and accused us of spying against his country. We are not spies," we told him. "We are honest men. We were 12 brothers in all, sons of the same father. One brother is dead, and the youngest is still in Canaan with our father." The man said, "How he will find out if we are honest men? One of us will stay with me. The rest will take grain for your starving families and leave. Bring your youngest brother to me. Then I will know that you are not spies but honest men. I will give your brother back to you, and you can stay here and trade."
Then when they emptied out their sacks, every one of them found his bag of money. And when they saw the money, they and their father Jacob were afraid.
Do you want to make me lose all my children? Joseph is gone, Simeon is gone, and now you want to take away Benjamin. I am the one who suffers.
If I do not bring Benjamin back to you, you can kill my 2 sons. Put him in my care, and I will bring him back."
My son cannot go with you. His brother is dead, and he is the only one left. Something might happen to him on the way. I am an old man, and the sorrow you would cause me would kill me.
The famine in Canaan got worse. And when the family of Jacob had eaten all the grain which had been brought from Egypt,
Go back and buy a little food for us.
The man sternly warned us that we would not be admitted to his presence unless we had our brother with us. If you are willing to send our brother with us, we will go and buy food for you. If you are not willing, we will not go, because the man told us we would not be admitted to his presence unless our brother was with us.
Why did you cause me so much trouble by telling the man that you had another brother?
The man kept asking about us and our family. Is your father still living? Do you have another brother? We had to answer his questions. How could we know that he would tell us to bring our brother with us?
Send the boy with me, and we will leave at once. Then none of us will starve to death. I will pledge my own life, and you can hold me responsible for him. If I do not bring him back to you safe and sound, I will always bear the blame. If we had not waited so long, we could have been there and back by now.
If that is how it has to be, then take the best products of the land in your packs as a present for the governor. A little resin, a little honey, spices, pistachio nuts, and almonds. Take with you also twice as much money, because you must take back the money that was returned in the top of your sacks. Maybe it was a mistake. Take your brother and return at once. May Almighty God cause the man to have pity on you, so that he will give Benjamin and your other brother back to you. As for me, if I must lose my children, I must lose them."
So the brothers took the gifts and twice as much money and set out for Egypt with Benjamin. There they presented themselves to Joseph. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the servant in charge of his house,
"Take these men to my house. They are going to eat with me at noon. So kill an animal and prepare it."
The servant did as he was commanded and took the brothers to Joseph's house. As they were being brought to the house, they were afraid and thought,
"We are being brought here because of the money that was returned in our sacks the first time. They will suddenly attack us, take our donkeys, and make us his slaves."
So at the door of the house, they said to the servant in charge,
"If you please, sir, we came here once before to buy food. When we set up camp on the way home, we opened our sacks, and each man found his money in the top of his sack, every bit of it. We have brought it back to you. We have also brought some more money with us to buy more food. We do not know who put our money back in our sacks. Don't worry. Don't be afraid. Your God, the God of your father, must have put the money in your sacks for you. I received your payment."
Then he brought Simeon to them. The servant took the brothers into the house. He gave them water so that they could wash their feet, and he fed their donkeys. They got their gifts ready to present to Joseph when he arrived at noon, because they had been told that they were to eat with him. When Joseph got home, they took the gifts into the house to him and bowed down to the ground before him. He asked about their health and then said,
"You told me about your old father. How is he? Is he still alive and well?" "Your humble servant, our father, is still alive and well."
And they knelt and bowed down before him. When Joseph saw his brother Benjamin, he said,
"So this is your youngest brother, the one you told me about. God bless you, my son."
Then Joseph left suddenly because his heart was full of tender feelings for his brother. He was about to break down, so he went to his room and cried. After he had washed his face, he came out, and controlling himself, he ordered the meal to be served. Joseph was served at one table and his brothers at another. The Egyptians who were eating there were served separately because they considered it beneath their dignity to eat with Hebrews. The brothers had been seated at the table, facing Joseph, in the order of their age from the oldest to the youngest. When they saw how they had been seated, they looked at one another in amazement. Food was served to them from Joseph's table, and Benjamin was served 5 times as much as the rest of them. So they ate and drank with Joseph until they were drunk. Joseph commanded the servant in charge of his house,
Fill the men's sacks with as much food as they can carry, and put each man's money in the top of his sack again. Put my silver cup in the top of the youngest brother's sack, together with the money for his grain.
Early in the morning, the brothers were sent on their way with their donkeys. When they had gone only a short distance from the city, Joseph said to the servant in charge of his house,
Hurry after those men. When you catch up with them, ask them, Why have you paid back evil for good? Why did you steal my master's silver cup? It is the one he drinks from, the one he uses for divination. You have committed a serious crime.
When the servant caught up with them, he repeated these words. They asked him,
What do you mean, sir? We swear that we have done no such thing. You know that we brought back to you from the land of Canaan the money we found in the top of our sacks. Why then should we steal silver or gold from your master's house? Sir, if any one of us is found to have it, he will be put to death, and the rest of us will become your slaves. I agree, but only the one who has taken the cup will become my slave, and the rest of you can go free.
So they quickly lowered their sacks to the ground, and each man opened his sack. Joseph's servant searched carefully, beginning with the oldest and ending with the youngest, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. The brothers tore their clothes in sorrow, loaded their donkeys, and returned to the city. When Judah and his brothers came to Joseph's house, they bowed down before him.
What have you done? Didn't you know that a man in my position could find you out by practicing divination?
How can we argue? How can we clear ourselves? God has uncovered our guilt. All of us are now your slaves, and not just the one with whom the cup was found.
Oh no, I would never do that. Only the one who had the cup will be my slave. The rest of you may go back safe and sound to your father.
Judah went up to Joseph and said,
Please, sir, allow me to speak with you freely. Don't be angry with me. You are like the king himself. Sir, you asked us, do you have a father or another brother? We have a father who is old and a younger brother, born to him in his old age. The boy's brother is dead, and he is the only one of his mother's children still alive. His father loves him very much. Sir, you told us to bring him here so that you could see him, and we answered that the boy could not leave his father. If he did, his father would die. Then you said, You will not be admitted to my presence again unless your youngest brother comes with you. When we went back to our father, we told him what you had said. Then he told us to return and buy a little food. We told him, We cannot go. We will not be admitted to the man's presence unless our youngest brother is with us. We can go only if our youngest brother goes also. Our father said to us, You know that my wife Rachel bore me only 2 sons. One of them has already left me. He must have been torn to pieces by wild animals, because I have not seen him since he left. If you take this one from me now and something happens to him, the sorrow you would cause me would kill me, as old as I am. And now, sir, if I go back to my father without the boy, as soon as he sees that the boy is not with me, he will die. His life is wrapped up with the life of the boy, and he is so old that the sorrow we would cause him would kill him. What is more, I pledged my life to my father for the boy. I told him, that if I did not bring the boy back to him, I would bear the blame all my life. And now, sir, I will stay here as your slave in place of the boy. Let him go back with his brothers. How can I go back to my father if the boy is not with me? I cannot bear to see this disaster come upon my father."
Joseph was no longer able to control his feelings in front of his servants, so he ordered them all to leave the room. Joseph then told his brothers who he was. He cried with such loud sobs that the Egyptians heard it, and the news was taken to the king's palace.
"I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?"
But when his brothers heard this, they were so terrified that they could not answer.
"Please come closer. I am your brother Joseph, whom you sold into Egypt. Now do not be upset or blame yourselves because you sold me here. It was really God who sent me ahead of you to save people's lives. This is only the second year of famine in the land. There will be 5 more years in which there will be neither plowing nor reaping. God sent me ahead of you to rescue you in this amazing way and to make sure that you and your descendants survive. So it was not really you who sent me here, but God. He has made me the king's highest official. I am in charge of his whole country. I am the ruler of all Egypt. Now hurry back to my father and tell him that this is what his son Joseph says. God has made me ruler of all Egypt. Come to me without delay. You can live in the region of Goshen, where you can be near me. You, your children, your grandchildren, your sheep, your goats, your cattle, and everything else that you have. If you are in Goshen, I can take care of you. There will still be 5 years of famine, and I do not want you, your family, and your livestock to starve. Now all of you, and you too, Benjamin, can see that I am really Joseph. Tell my father how powerful I am here in Egypt, and tell him about everything that you have seen. Then hurry and bring him here."
He threw his arms around his brother Benjamin and began to cry. Benjamin also cried as he hugged him. Then, still weeping, he embraced each of his brothers and kissed them. After that, his brothers began to talk with him. When the news reached the palace that Joseph's brothers had come, the king and his officials were pleased. He said to Joseph,
"Tell your brothers to load their animals and to return to the land of Canaan. Let them get their father and their families and come back here. I will give them the best land in Egypt, and they will have more than enough to live on. Tell them also to take wagons with them from Egypt for their wives and small children, and to bring their father with them. They are not to worry about leaving their possessions behind. The best in the whole land of Egypt will be theirs."
Jacob's sons did as they were told. Joseph gave them wagons, as the king had ordered, and food for the trip. He also gave each of them a change of clothes, but he gave Benjamin 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of clothes. He sent his father 10 donkeys loaded with the best Egyptian goods, and 10 donkeys loaded with grain, bread, and other food for the trip. He sent his brothers off, and as they left,
"Don't quarrel on the way."
they left Egypt and went back home to their father Jacob in Canaan.
Joseph is still alive. He is the ruler of all Egypt.
Jacob was stunned and could not believe them. But when they told him all that Joseph had said to them, and when he saw the wagons which Joseph had sent to take him to Egypt, he recovered from the shock.
My son Joseph is still alive. This is all I could ask for. I must go and see him before I die.
Jacob packed up all he had and went to Beersheba, where he offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. God spoke to him in a vision at night and called,
"Jacob, Jacob!"
Yes, here I am.
"I am God, the God of your father. Do not be afraid to go to Egypt. I will make your descendants a great nation there. I will go with you to Egypt, and I will bring your descendants back to this land. Joseph will be with you when you die."
Jacob set out from Beersheba. His sons put him, their small children, and their wives in the wagons which the king of Egypt had sent. They took their livestock and the possessions they had acquired in Canaan and went to Egypt. Jacob took all his descendants with him, his sons, his grandsons, his daughters, and his granddaughters. Jacob sent Judah ahead to ask Joseph to meet them in Goshen. When they arrived, Joseph got in his chariot and went to Goshen to meet his father. When they met, Joseph threw his arms around his father's neck and cried for a long time.
I am ready to die, now that I have seen you and know that you are still alive.
Then Joseph said to his brothers and the rest of his father's family,
I must go and tell the king that my brothers and all my father's family, who were living in Canaan, have come to me. I will tell him that you are shepherds and take care of livestock, and that you have brought your flocks and herds and everything else that belongs to you. When the king calls for you and asks what your occupation is, be sure to tell him that you have taken care of livestock all your lives, just as your ancestors did. In this way, he will let you live in the region of Goshen.
Joseph said this because Egyptians will have nothing to do with shepherds. So Joseph took 5 of his brothers and went to the king.
My father and my brothers have come from Canaan with their flocks, their herds, and all that they own. They are now in the region of Goshen.
He then presented his brothers to the king. The king asked them,
What is your occupation?
We are shepherds, sir, just as our ancestors were. We have come to live in this country because in the land of Canaan, the famine is so severe that there's no pasture for our flocks. Please give us permission to live in the region of Goshen.
Now that your father and your brothers have arrived, the land of Egypt is theirs. Let them settle in the region of Goshen, the best part of the land. And if there are any capable men among them, put them in charge of my own livestock.
Then Joseph brought his father Jacob and presented him to the king. Jacob gave the king his blessing.
How old are you?
My life of wandering has lasted 130 years. Those years have been few and difficult, unlike the long years of my ancestors in their wanderings.
Jacob gave the king a farewell blessing and left. Then Joseph settled his father and his brothers in Egypt, giving them property in the best of the land near the city of Ramesses, as the king had commanded. Joseph provided food for his father, his brothers, and all the rest of his father's family, including the very youngest. The famine was so severe that there was no food anywhere, and the people of Egypt and Canaan became weak with hunger. As they bought grain, Joseph collected all the money and took it to the palace. When all the money in Egypt and Canaan was spent, the Egyptians came to Joseph and said,
Give us food. Don't let us die. Do something. Our money is all gone.
Bring your livestock. I will give you food in exchange for it if your money is all gone.
So they brought their livestock to Joseph, and he gave them food in exchange for their horses, sheep, goats, cattle, and donkeys. That year, he supplied them with food in exchange for all their livestock. The following year, they came to him and said,
We will not hide the fact from you, sir, that our money is all gone, and our livestock belongs to you. There is nothing left to give you except our bodies and our lands. Don't let us die. Do something. Don't let our fields be deserted. Buy us and our land in exchange for food. We will be the king's slaves, and he will own our land. Give us grain to keep us alive and seed so that we can plant our fields.
Joseph bought all the land in Egypt for the king. Every Egyptian was forced to sell his land because the famine was so severe, and all the land became the king's property. Joseph made slaves of the people from one end of Egypt to the other. The only land he did not buy was the land that belonged to the priests. They did not have to sell their lands because the king gave them an allowance to live on.
You see, I have now bought you and your lands for the king. Here is seed for you to sow in your fields. At the time of harvest, you must give 1/5 to the king. You can use the rest for seed and for food for yourselves and your families.
You have saved our lives. You have been good to us, sir, and we will be the king's slaves.
So Joseph made it a law for the land of Egypt that 1/5 of the harvest should belong to the king. This law remains in force today. Only the lands of the priests did not become the king's property. The Israelites lived in Egypt in the region of Goshen, where they became rich and had many children. Jacob lived in Egypt 17 years until he was 147 years old. When the time drew near for him to die, he called for his son Joseph and said to him,
Place your hand between my thighs and make a solemn vow that you will not bury me in Egypt. I want to be buried where my fathers are. Carry me out of Egypt and bury me where they are buried.
I will do as you say.
Make a vow that you will.
Joseph made the vow, and Jacob gave thanks there on his bed. Sometime later, Joseph was told that his father was ill, so he took his 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, and went to see Jacob. When Jacob was told that his son Joseph had come to see him, he gathered his strength and sat up in bed.
Almighty God appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan and blessed me. He said to me, I will give you many children, so that your descendants will become many nations. I will give this land to your descendants as their possession forever. Joseph, your 2 sons, who were born to you in Egypt before I came here, belong to me. Ephraim and Manasseh are just as much my sons as Reuben and Simeon. If you have any more sons, they will not be considered mine. The inheritance they get will come through Ephraim and Manasseh. I am doing this because of your mother Rachel. To my great sorrow she died in the land of Canaan, not far from Ephrath, as I was returning from Mesopotamia. I buried her there beside the road to Ephrath.
When Jacob saw Joseph's sons,
Who are these boys?
These are my sons, whom God has given me here in Egypt.
Bring them to me so that I may bless them.
Jacob's eyesight was failing because of his age, and he could not see very well. Joseph brought the boys to him, and he hugged them and kissed them.
I never expected to see you again, and now God has even let me see your children.
Then Joseph took them from Jacob's lap and bowed down before him with his face to the ground. Joseph put Ephraim at Jacob's left and Manasseh at his right. But Jacob crossed his hands and put his right hand on the head of Ephraim, even though he was the younger, and his left hand on the head of Manasseh, who was the older. Then he blessed Joseph.
May God, whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac served, bless these boys. May God, who has led me to this very day, bless them. May the angel who has rescued me from all harm bless them. May my name and the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac live on through these boys. May they have many children, many descendants.
Joseph was upset when he saw that his father had put his right hand on Ephraim's head. So he took his father's hand to move it from Ephraim's head to the head of Manasseh.
Not that way, father. This is the older boy. Put your right hand on his head.
His father refused, saying,
I know, son, I know. Manasseh's descendants will also become a great people, but his younger brother will be greater than he, and his descendants will become great nations. The Israelites will use your names when they pronounce blessings. They will say, May God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh.
So he blessed them that day. In this way, Jacob put Ephraim before Manasseh.
As you see, I am about to die, but God will be with you and will take you back to the land of your ancestors. It is to you and not to your brothers that I am giving Shechem, that fertile region which I took from the Amorites with my sword and my bow.
Jacob called for his sons and said,
Gather around, and I will tell you what will happen to you in the future. Come together and listen. Listen to your father Israel. Reuben, my firstborn, you are my strength, the proudest and strongest of all my sons. You are like a raging flood, but you will not be the most important, for you were with my concubine and dishonored your father. Simeon and Levi are brothers. They use their weapons to commit violence. I will not join in their secret talks, nor will I take part in their meetings. For they killed people in anger and they crippled bulls for sport. A curse be on their anger, because it is so fierce, and on their fury, because it is so cruel. I will scatter them throughout the land of Israel. I will disperse them among its people. Judah, your brothers will praise you. You hold your enemies by the neck. Your brothers will bow down before you. Judah is like a lion, killing his victim and returning to his den, stretching out and lying down. No one dares disturb him. Judah will hold the royal scepter, and his descendants will always rule. Nations will bring him tribute and bow in obedience before him. He ties his young donkey to a grapevine, to the very best of the vines. He washes his clothes in blood-red wine. His eyes are bloodshot from drinking wine, his teeth white from drinking milk. Zebulun will live beside the sea. His shore will be a haven for ships. His territory will reach as far as Sidon. Issachar is no better than a donkey that lies stretched out between its saddlebags. But he sees that the resting place is good and that the land is delightful. So he bends his back to carry the load and is forced to work as a slave. Dan will be a ruler for his people. They will be like the other tribes of Israel. Dan will be a snake at the side of the road, a poisonous snake beside the path, that strikes at the horse's heel so that the rider is thrown off backward. Gad will be attacked by a band of robbers, but he will turn and pursue them. Asher's land will produce rich food. He will provide food fit for a king. Naphtali is a deer that runs free, who bears lovely fawns. Joseph is like a wild donkey by a spring, a wild colt on a hillside. His enemies attack him fiercely and pursue him with their bows and arrows. But his bow remains steady, and his arms are made strong by the power of the mighty God of Jacob, by the shepherd, the protector of Israel. It is your father's God who helps you, the Almighty God who blesses you with blessings of rain from above and of deep waters from beneath the ground, blessings of many cattle and children, blessings of grain and flowers, blessings of ancient mountains, delightful things from everlasting hills. May these blessings rest on the head of Joseph, on the brow of the one set apart from his brothers. Benjamin is like a vicious wolf. Morning and evening he kills and devours. These are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is what their father said as he spoke a suitable word of farewell to each son. Now that I am going to join my people in death, bury me with my fathers in the cave that is in the field of Ephron the Hittite, at Machpelah, east of Mamre in the land of Canaan. Abraham bought this cave and field from Ephron for a burial ground. That is where they buried Abraham and his wife Sarah. That is where they buried Isaac and his wife Rebekah, and that is where I buried Leah. The field and the cave in it were bought from the Hittites. Bury me there.
When Jacob had finished giving instructions to his sons, he lay back down and died. Joseph threw himself on his father, crying and kissing his face. Then Joseph gave orders to embalm his father's body. It took 40 days, the normal time for embalming. The Egyptians mourned for him 70 days. When the time of mourning was over, Joseph said to the king's officials,
Please take this message to the king. When my father was about to die, he made me promise him that I would bury him in the tomb, which he had prepared in the land of Canaan. So please let me go and bury my father, and then I will come back.
Go and bury your father as you promised you would.
So Joseph went to bury his father. All the king's officials, the senior men of his court, and all the leading men of Egypt went with Joseph. His family, his brothers, and the rest of his father's family all went with him. Only their small children and their sheep, goats, and cattle stayed in the region of Goshen. Men in chariots and men on horseback also went with him. It was a huge group. When they came to the threshing place at Atad east of the Jordan, they mourned loudly for a long time, and Joseph performed mourning ceremonies for 7 days. When the citizens of Canaan saw those people mourning at Atad, they said,
"What a solemn ceremony of mourning the Egyptians are holding."
That is why the place was named Abel Mizraim. So Jacob's sons did as he had commanded them. They carried his body to Canaan and buried it in the cave at Machpelah east of Mamre, in the field which Abraham had bought from Ephron the Hittite for a burial ground. Joseph had buried his father. He returned to Egypt with his brothers and all who had gone with him for the funeral. After the death of their father, Joseph's brothers said,
"What if Joseph still hates us and plans to pay us back for all the harm we did to him?"
So they sent a message to Joseph.
"Before our father died, he told us to tell you, 'Please forgive the crime your brothers committed when they wronged you. Now, please forgive us for the wrong that we, the servants of your father's God, have done.'"
Joseph cried when he received this message. Then his brothers themselves came and bowed down before him.
"Here we are before you as your slaves. Don't be afraid. I can't put myself in the place of God. You plotted evil against me, but God turned it into good in order to preserve the lives of many people who are alive today because of what happened. You have nothing to fear. I will take care of you and your children."
So he reassured them with kind words that touched their hearts. Joseph continued to live in Egypt with his father's family. He lived to see Ephraim's children and grandchildren. He also lived to receive the children of Mashir, son of Manasseh, into the family.
"I am about to die, but God will certainly take care of you and lead you out of this land to the land he solemnly promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob."
Then Joseph asked his people to make a vow.
"That when God leads you to that land, you will take my body with you."
So Joseph died in Egypt at the age of 110. They embalmed his body and put it in a coffin. Lessons learned from the story. Joseph's actions and responses throughout his lifetime give us a powerful framework for our own struggles. When we feel trapped in the implications of others' wrong decisions, here are some helpful things we can do to find hope and move forward. Acknowledge the truth. Joseph acknowledged the truth. When we're stuck at the bad end of someone else's decisions, it's all too easy to point the finger and place blame. Joseph was treated unfairly by so many people, enough that he could have made enemies out of the whole world. Instead, we see Joseph zero in on the individuals who specifically caused him pain. He doesn't gloss over what was done, but he has enough wisdom to acknowledge the truth by providing clarity. Trust God's plan. Joseph's story shows us what it looks like to trust in God's overarching plan. While he couldn't foresee the specifics of how his pain would lead to a greater purpose, Joseph held on to the belief that God was working behind the scenes. Thank you for watching. Your journey doesn't end here. Watch our other Bible stories and subscribe to our channel so you never miss an inspiring lesson.